Originally, when I had this idea planned, I had an exact order and schedule planned and set in mind, but after my secret reviewers from the unlisted video that I put out a few days ago told me that the same exact thing, which was that I was going to be changing the whole perspective of the video, which I said that everything that took place in the video wasn't my story and was someone else's, even though that's not true. And if I'm going to spread a message, it might as well be from my heart, considering that I'm the one that's speaking out about this and no one else's. So aside from that, any events that take place in 2019 will be mentioned in another video, which will be the part 2 video to this, and that will be uploaded at a later time when I get confirmation that if I can actually put that out sooner than later. Without further ado, this is my story. 2 months after I was born, my father got into a car accident, and my family was never the same way again. The accident affected his brain and caused him to definitely become a different person, and that will be later continued in the future videos, and probably at the later half of this video. I don't remember anything that happened before kindergarten, aside from I just remembered watching my dad play games on his computer a lot, and it was like 2000s, and it was close to 2010s, and I don't remember a lot. He left when I was 4, but the game he had on his computer came out in 2006, so I get confused with those dates. Anyways, in kindergarten, I was the type of kid that would get the work done on time. I never caused trouble, and I was liked by my teacher because of that. I did get into a snowball fight, which caused me to get a note in my agenda at one point, and that included like 6 other students in the class, but that was it. Grade 1, the teasing started, but the bullying didn't really fully develop until grade 2. Stuff like your common insults that you would hear in like a Call of Duty lobby, for example, like, you know, like you're gay, or words you can't say anymore, or words that were never acceptable in the first place, but still no one can say nowadays. Threats and just the typical stuff. Grade 3 was when the bullying actually developed, and that was physical and mental. For the most part, I only remember the physical. I had a concussion when I was 4 years old. It was my fault. I decided to roller skate without a helmet, and obviously it was too late before they could give me the helmet, and I fell and hit my head. Now, the second concussion I had was in grade 3, when some student, obviously the names are changed. We're gonna call her, it's not too far off, but I highly doubt this person's gonna see the video, but we'll call her Hannah. Hannah threw a block of ice at my face. It busted my lip and gave me a black eye, but that wasn't the thing that obviously caused the concussion. I slipped on ice and hit my head. My parents ended up calling my parents, and I ended up having to go to the hospital. But turns out the injuries were quote unquote minor. Anything else that happened within that class? Was that grade 4? Between grade 3 or 4, I had a rivalry with this one kid who I'd consider still my friend to this day. It was weird stuff. Like, we both got on each other's nerves, and we both hurt each other physically, and I kicked him in the stomach, and he pushed me, and I pushed me up against the fence, and I think he kicked me in the nuts one time. Something along those lines. Grade 4 was when things started getting worse, more on the mental side of things. I didn't know how to exactly deal with the stress and anxiety, and I won't say I guess depression was also a contributing factor, but I never fully comprehended depression until an older age. But and I think if anything, I might be getting the times that or the rivalry with that guy or my friend mixed up in the grades years. It was definitely I didn't know how to exactly handle situations, whether it be physical or like make comebacks if someone says anything. One thing I do recall though, again might have been a different grade, was like someone twisted something that I said. Like I forget what he would say, hurtful things, and I said, "Oh, you better you better smarten up or your dad will ground you." And he said that I said his father will drown him, which for some reason I got in trouble with the teacher because the teacher believed the teacher believed the student over that, which I don't understand. Next to that, there was, can't think of any other. There were definitely other situations, but if there was anything like major, I don't remember. There was one thing that I still don't understand, where there was like 3 different grades were fighting each other, and somehow I ended up becoming the victim of the whole thing, and I don't know how that happened. If you're familiar with the peace circle, where everybody gets a chance with a stick and they have to tell the group of how they feel about the situation or whatever. Yeah, that was I like to think that started because of me for that specific day and that specific situation. I don't know why, but it just happened. At least in grade 5 was grade 5 sucked. And grade 5 was this is the that grade, or well, not grade, that time where you go to school and you eventually feel like your teachers are against you. This was the one case where I thought my one teacher was against me, and the lines of that every time I'd get in trouble or whatever, I just felt like I was always being blamed for shit, and they never looked at the other person who actually caused the problem, which it's sadly normal now I think about it. There was, so the first instance was a kid with special needs got mad at me for something, and if I remember correctly, I kicked his book bag and I got in trouble for that. But he was yelling and throwing shit at me. But because he had special needs, he can get away with it. Which makes, the lunch monitor obviously wasn't being a good lunch monitor and wasn't monitoring everything. And the students were obviously just egging on the kid with the special needs because I was the easy target. And next to that, there was another instance where we were outside, and if everybody's familiar with the game Grounders, it's basically tag where the one person has their eyes closed, and if anybody's on the ground that aren't on the play structure, they call Grounders, and then that person's immediately it. We're playing that, and my friend, can't call him Daniel because someone else is named Daniel, and even though it's not him, he's gonna think it's Daniel. It's you know what? Screw it. Yeah, Thomas. He somehow got his knee stuck. I don't remember exactly what happened in the situation, but I think like his knee was stuck like under his leg, or he hurt his knee, and like someone pushed me onto him on the slide, and another person fell. That other person got off the slide, and I was trying to get out, and yet I was also stuck, and the teacher was basically shaming me for like, oh, how could you do that? Like, I thought you were best friends or whatever. And I told them that I was trying to get off the slide. She said, no, you weren't. She was being a Karen. And the person, whoever pushed me down that slide, never got in trouble or never was questioned, regardless of it was the person that didn't get off of them, which I don't understand now. That was still my fault when I told her the same thing I told everyone. I was stuck. There was a thing with Chio, where it's like I think it was like a mental health support thing, where you get invited to this room, a meeting, a bunch of people at a table. It's almost like a conference meeting. There's someone on the TV, and the person on the TV asks you questions, and you answer them. I answered them, told them every single thing that the school wasn't doing, that the school wasn't solving, and they were shocked. And then when that got brought up at the school again, I think that what they did was they got me a counselor, but that was really it. Got me a counselor instead of actually, dealing with the situations that each kid caused. And obviously, it's, you feel different when you end up having to deal with whatever, every Tuesday or whatever of the week, where someone comes in and you go with them to the library, and then you don't come back till 15-20 minutes later. You feel different. There was also a case where someone else happened that before I got my counselor, a thing called Rainbows, which was basically it was like a support circle where different students go basically just talk. It was almost like Alpha. It's almost like Alpha, but Alpha is more it's not focusing on the world problems. It's literally you just tell people how you feel in front of a group of people. I don't know again, it's whatever, but after the counselor and my mom had a conversation. I ended up dropping down to core. They said it was because I wasn't doing well in French, but the actual case was that I didn't get along with almost really anyone in that class. The only person I did get along with, and actually, to come to think about it, I think the only person that was really there for me was a female, and rather than calling her by her real name, I'm gonna call her I don't know why Sandy seems like a good name. We'll call her Sandy. There was a time where I couldn't go out for lunch recesses because of this whole situation involving the Chio. So I think most of the time it was her and I that we would just play board games during that time at recess. She didn't really want to go outside, and no, she didn't want to go outside if she had someone to talk with and play board games with. So we did that. When I dropped down to core, the rest of grade 5 was actually great. Once I was in core, I was good. There was a case where it was I was talking shit about the immersion, saying how they get whatever they want, they get treated fairly over instead of the cores, where the cores end up kind of getting the backhand, where the fact that I had to drop down to core, and it wasn't just me, it was Thomas had to drop down as well as Anthony. That's another one. That's another. He might. I might not mention Anthony as much. So grade 6 happened. Grade 6 was it was almost like the opposite of grade 5. Grade 6, the year started off great. There was a kid in the class that kept causing problems with me, who was cousins with my friend at the time. And he would always, like, you just threaten to, like, always want to fight, just cause problems. And every time you would, like, say that he did something, he would say sorry, he'd pretend to cry along those lines. Which, it didn't come to my surprise that after all this, after the time saying that, oh yeah, you're even, like, when you're the good guy, just trying to get away from him, you stood away from him, you tell the teacher, like, yeah, you always say walk away or stay away from the person. I did. And yet you still let him. He shouldn't have been going out for recess. He should have been getting the same treatment I used to get back in grade 5, but no. I don't think I ended up I don't think they did the missing recess thing in grade 6. But if they did, then yeah, that was another thing I don't understand. Is like, this kid's causing problems on the schoolyard, and yet the person that's not causing problems on the schoolyard, but actually that's actually speaking out about it, you tell him to just stay inside a recess. Which is, again, I don't understand why this school was never questioned for any bullshit that happened within it. So it was very interesting to the last day of grade 5 or 6. I went to school, even though I felt like, I didn't know if I wanted to go or not. I was talking with my friend, and after I was done talking with my friend, the kid punched me in the stomach, not my friend, the kid, and left. Obviously, when I had to go to the principal's office, they gave me some bullshit saying, like, oh, don't worry, he's in trouble by his parents, which is not true. And he got away with it, and he didn't go he changed schools after that, which didn't surprise me. Grade 7, nothing really happened. Grade 8 I consider the worst year of my life, period. Second would be, I'll probably have to get to that in the other video. I'll allude to what happens in 2019, but I won't say exactly what happens in 2000. I'm not going to mention, like, a single story, but I'll allude to saying, like, I'll make, like, some lessons and some points that have to do with 2019. So grade 8, some people would probably understand this, but, like, everybody knows, like, it's hard to tell someone that you like them or you have a crush on them or whatever. And I went through that. I didn't deal with it in a healthy way, but I did. It was obviously, when you're getting tortured within your elementary school, you have a lot of things going through your head, and the last thing you want to think about is talking to someone you've never really talked to, and just basically telling them how you feel when you can't even help yourself. So it probably doesn't surprise you that that didn't really happen. Instead, I ended up messaging the person on Facebook, and everything. So before that, actually, this was during the year that I started making my YouTube channel. So this was during the year I made my YouTube channel, which was about 2015, I believe. And that was also during the time I made my first email account. Or actually, I don't even remember if I made my email account. I think my mom helped me. But yeah, so I made that account because I always wanted Facebook. Not for the social platform, no. For the specific purpose of, I liked the whole thing with bit emojis, and always wanted to make, what was it, like the Bitmoji comics or whatever. Always wanted to make one of those. And that was the whole reason why I wanted, that was the whole reason why I wanted Facebook, for that exact reason. However, so in, being like, okay, this is gonna be a throwaway account, I didn't, and actually at the time I also didn't know what people were doing. I didn't know if like people were using like fake names or whatever, and I didn't even know if that was like against Facebook's terms of service or anything. So so I made the account, and it was Sebastian Hendricks. Come to think about it now, I don't know, I kind of like the name Sebastian, but I feel like it's one of those names that kind of get dragged through the mud, because I don't know, it's like, not to say like it's offensive or anything, but I think like a lot of people think that the stereotypical name for a foreign gay person is Sebastian, which, I don't disagree, but that was like the main reason why I was like hesitant to making that name. And Hendrix, I like that last name. Obviously I like Jimi Hendrix, and I thought that was a pretty cool last name to have. So that's why that account was made. And then, what was it? It was, I always get confused. It had to been before school started. So it had to been like close to, it was the end of summer, but it had to be close to school. And it was a lot of anxiety, and a lot of, actually, I think I can describe pretty well. So it's like you wake up, or it's like whenever you start having dreams that you don't normally have, and where they become more frequent enough where you're like, okay, what can I do in the real world to prevent these from happening? And you like keep thinking about it, and then eventually you start getting ideas like, okay, maybe I can do this, and then you realize like the consequences of what that could actually lead to. And if not even worse, thinking about if things don't work out, which is like, it's never good to have a negative, it's never good to always think negative, but it's also a good idea to, in my opinion, think both of the positive and the negatives. And I like the idea of obviously having your expectations low, so you don't get disappointed in the end as much as you would just having hope for whatever's to happen. But yeah, for that moment in time, I just left it at, all right, here's the good, here's the bad. You keep playing around in your head like which scenario is going to happen. Is you're going to get the good, you're going to get the bad, or you get the unexpected, where it's like a variable happen. It's a variable, and you just you leave it up for time to decide what's gonna happen. So I messaged that person, and it's exactly how I planned for everything to happen. But like, this was back when I had the hardest time dealing with the idea of change, where even when you know something is not gonna go the way you want it to go, it's hard to fully grasp and comprehend like what just happened, and even to the point where you might want to like either want to stay in denial and be like, okay, you know what, let's just pretend this didn't happen, or you want to just change everything and just erase it. Yeah, you want to just erase it and just be done with it. Since this took place within the 8th grade, there were obviously, you know, people's personalities change, and you deal with that. A lot of those types of people are very curious to see how things go, especially at like, oh yeah, you know, if something unexpected happens, like they wouldn't expect any of this happening. And actually, I'm gonna bring up another thing. So a lot of times people underestimate what exactly, let's say what people are capable of doing for like the people that don't really talk to people or socialize with people. And a lot of the time they look at them as like, oh, they're gonna do something, they're gonna do something mostly negative. That's a pretty obvious thing. Everybody's first misconception is that they don't talk with anybody, or they don't really communicate with anyone, and that could go, they might even think that they might not even talk to their family, which is it's never true. In fact, one thing that I mean, I don't know anybody like that, but the people that I know, at least, like they talk with their family. They don't ignore their family. And just because they don't talk to anybody at school, obviously, you know, there's a good reason. And again, we're gonna deal with that in probably the 3rd episode. So the message gets sent out, having my regrets. I backpedaled it and just saying that it wasn't my account, it was a hacked account. Escalated even further. They really wanted to know if it was me or if it was just some random person. So much to the point where, oh yeah, we're gonna use the typical threat to call the police, which it wasn't even that bad. And they were thinking it was like the worst thing ever. Like I was harassing this person, which I was not. And that was just the beginning of the 8th grade. It got worse. Got way worse after that. So we're gonna start off with the first. That was just the bone. That was the icing on the cake. We're getting to the point where it's like this is definitely like the first worst thing. So there's this kid. We're gonna call him Dennis. Actually, if I remember correctly, I think that's what I called him in my novel. So yeah, so this kid named Dennis. This is where things get really complicated. His family's history is very complicated, but he ended up starting a fight with me. However, his friend was friends with one of my friends that lived around where I lived. Like, he's a neighbor of mine, and he would always come by, walk by my street, and there's a complex, I don't know what you call it, but yeah, there's a duplex, or there's a complex. There's a complex near my house that he didn't live there, but he would always go there to hang out and they would always meet there. A lot of people would meet up there, and yeah, so they would go. So he ended up causing trouble. He would threaten me. He would say shit, but he would never do anything. one point punched me in the nose, and at the point where I had a bloody nose, told the principal about it, showed him the evidence, and he didn't do anything about it. Which, hey, you know, you're a great principal if you don't do anything about someone giving someone a bloody nose. And it's not like my parents could do anything about it either, but they tried. When I got my bloody nose, I also had witnesses too. I had like, I don't know, 4 people with me. So, yeah, and they were telling him to screw off. They'd be like, they were there to defend me, and yet the principal was always against me. I got into a fight with him, like an actual fight, like was recorded and everything. That caused me to miss days of school. I ended up having, I think, a mixture between in-school and out-school suspensions. Out-school suspensions, I just treated it like a normal day, because I didn't do anything, I was not in the wrong. Even if I walked away, I was done to the point where it's like, you know, if I walk away, I'm just gonna continue to get beat up. So if I actually fight back, they'll show that, like, hey, you know what? Since you're not gonna do anything if I walk away, and if I decide to just fight back, if you're gonna cause me trouble, we could just like say that, hey, you know, the school doesn't do anything anyways, and if worst case scenario, if I get a criminal record, we could just blame it on the school, and I'll just speak out saying that the school I was a victim of bullying and abuse of almost everyone there. And so, yeah, that was that. Then there was another incident with a kid with special needs who just happens to be related to the other Dennis. And what happened with him was there was a day at recess where a kid named Brian, he let so there's a gate. Alright, so there's a soccer field. How the schoolyard works, there's a soccer field that's next to the fence of the school, and then around the fence there's a gate, and there's a gate that leads to the parking lot, and for some reason that gate's always unlocked. So Brian let the kid with special needs outside in the parking lot, and that was that. Oh, so I thought. Oh, another thing that also happened after that was the kid accused me of choking him when he went to hug me, and I tried to like get him off of me. And that will also be mentioned. 2 months later, the situation gets brought up where the principal only listens to the family members, where there's this one person. Okay, so all right, I'm gonna try to break this down for you. The victim was, sorry, not the victim. The suspect was there. The guy who let the kid with special needs out was there. He admitted to doing that. But he also said that I told him to do that, which makes no sense. And I was playing Red Butt with, I think, 3 other friends that were around that area, and so this gets brought up 2 months ago, and I remember how it happened. I walk into school, get called down to the office. I'm waiting more than 20 minutes, go to this meeting, be like, do you know why you're here? And I was like, no. It's like, oh, just this event that happened 2 months ago. Like, what? So, yeah, they're bringing this thing up from 2 months ago, which, you want to know, ironically, it got brought up by the kid with special needs that told Dennis's mom, and Dennis's mom brought this up after 2 months ago this happened. Now, there was only one witness that said that I told Brian to do that, and which was also related to Dennis and the kid with special needs. And they believed her, but they didn't believe any of my 4 or 5 witnesses that actually were there with me and said against told them that I didn't do that, but they didn't listen to them, and I was off again. This time I was off for, I think all of it was out of school suspension, which was great. After that, there's the final chapter. Kid named Juan, who I was kind of friends with from grades. No, for the most part, I was friends with him like almost through all grade 7. He definitely changed. He was like really on the lines of like he was attention seeking, where you would just say offensive shit and just try to get people to laugh, and he was attention seeker. This was also during the time that rice gum was popular, and he liked rice gum a lot, so he would just do anything just to get on people's nerves for attention. When I was friends with him, he would like recommend me songs and whatnot. Our friendship was like really nothing. I let him come over one time. We played like games and stuff. We played like Advanced Warfare back, like I think this was before I had my PS4. Yeah, I think we were playing only on my PS3. So, yeah, it was. And, yeah, so he would do that a lot with me. He would just try to get on my nerves a lot, and he would just try to get me to go out my way and either fight him or say stupid stuff, and he would just, that was the whole game. There was a thing where he would just like, so at our school we had this like bin just filled with balls, hula hoops, skipping ropes and stuff like that, and at recess he would always just grab balls from that thing and just throw them at me, and then we'd call it a game, and he'd expect me to do the same thing at him. We actually got that bin pulled from recess because, what was it? It's like along the lines of like, was it me? I don't remember exactly what happened. I think what would happen was like, so if a ball would come over to me and I'd just kick it, and it would be in no harm's way, would hurt no one, that somehow got the bin pulled from recesses because of me. And the principal even looked at me whenever there was that whole announcement too. But yeah, so that whole bin of things, he did that, and I called him out on bullshit. And my friends would do the same thing and be like, you're literally nothing. Like, all you do is just pick fights with people and get the reaction, and then get people to laugh at the reaction. Like, that's basically what he did. And then there was, up to that point, there was nothing that really happened. He got in trouble one time for like, the principal saw him, he was about to throw a football at the back of my head, but he caught him before that and got sent at the office. But he didn't, obviously, he didn't get a suspension or he probably just missed a few recesses. That's really what happened, probably. That's my guess. Now, it's track and field day, which is probably one of the worst years of my life. Well, I mean, it's the worst year of my life. Probably one of the worst times of my life ever. So, I'm gonna break this down for you. This is exactly, just to give you an idea and picture exactly everything that happened within that day. So, my friend and I were talking about track and field day for like weeks now, and like we had this whole plan in mind that he was gonna come over to my house. We were gonna play some COD in the morning, and then we were gonna just walk there, because he lived like up the street. So, and then yeah, and it was two of my friends. Yeah, so he came over. I don't remember what time it was. We got up early, came over to my grandparents' house. I had my PlayStation 3 set up, and I don't remember why, but I think I had like all my games there, and yet he insisted that we played Ghost. So we were playing Ghost, we were playing gun game on whatever that Stone Castle map was. If I remember correctly, I ended up beating him, and I got like I also was stuck with the stupid. Sorry, not stuck. I also volunteered to say that you know, hey, I'll take the modded controller, even though that's one of my least favorite controllers. And yeah, so then eventually we ended up walking. The walk takes us like, I don't know, like 45 minutes. No, yeah, I don't remember how long. I think it's like half an hour, maybe a little over a half an hour. And then we got there, and previously, grade 7, actually, my friend that I mentioned before, did I give him a name? I didn't give him a name. Alright, anyways, Peter, the guy that I'd have my rivalry back with, back in like grade 3, 4-ish, him, yeah, we were good friends. Like we were good friends from grade from like grade 6 up to grade 8. He graduated, but he went to a different. He kept talking about going to a different school, and he did that. So yeah, so I was talking with him, and grade 7 I met his cousin, and his cousin, I don't remember how old he was. He was like, he graduated St. Joe's, and he would always go back and just to like meet with his cousin, whatever. And yeah, great guy. We'd always talk. He'd always go on and say like, "Oh, I bet you could like easily do the 1500K, whatever." And I was like, I don't know. Like I thought about it, but like I don't really think I can. Because he said like, yeah, that like you look like you're built for that, like you could do that. And I was like hesitant towards that. We talked about other things too. I think during that time my friend, I think Peter was, I think he was getting his YouTube channel up as well. Like keep in mind that my channel was already up, and I probably posted like about, geez, I don't know, there was probably about a few montages, maybe a few past streams. And this, I remember when he made his channel, that's when Overwatch was getting really popular. And he started like, he really started liking like Leafy Is Here, and we would always like talk about his videos and stuff like that. I don't remember any other conversations we had. Yeah, I mean, his cousin would like bring up like, he would talk about teacher. He would like introduce me to the teachers, and I would meet them. But I don't remember like. Actually, I think the majority of the teachers. Well, actually, no. I think about it. The only teacher that I really remember is I don't remember his name, but I know that like a lot of people call him like a hard ass, and I've met him. I not only did I meet him, but I also like I had to deal with him on a few occasions. He was my supply and on-call, he was my supply and on-call at times. He's the definition of a teacher you don't want. Like, catches you on your phone, he's gonna get mad at you. Obviously, if you're like gonna cause problems in the class, he's not gonna make your learning experience is gonna be very limited, because you're probably gonna get sent down to the office or something along those lines. If I could think of anything else, like what else? He has that very unlikable attitude, but I'm pretty sure like he's like, I don't know, he's like your typical hard ass high school teacher that you would see in like fiction, like movies and stuff like that. But, and again, I really wish I could remember his name, but I don't. Even if, because I'm not afraid to give out the teachers' names, because that's different from students' names. But yeah, he's the only one I remember for some reason, which is kind of ironic because come to when we get to grade 8, it was like I don't know, you know, like whenever you experience like when you experience something for the first time, it's always great, and then when you experience it again, it's like you don't get that enjoyment as much. Obviously, everybody knows that feeling, but that's kind of how the first half of grade 8 track and field felt. It's more of the lines of like, hey, we're doing a redo, and it's like that's really much it. Like, you meet your friend, you get to see your friend's cousin again, and maybe like if you know, since if like you don't really want to be there, you could just skip all the friggin' track and field events and just go home, which was my plan initially. I did one event, and that was long jump. And so up to that point, we get to the very intense situation that unfolds. I was in the lineup at the food stand with my friend and his cousin. I didn't know what to order, and my friend said, like, you know, he gives you the typical response like, oh, well, I don't know, the menu's in front of you. And thinking back to this, like, I know, you know, everybody hates the whole like, oh, let's go 2 weeks back or whatever. We should just tell the story how it happened, but since it's already getting convoluted enough, a few weeks prior, I remember, actually, I can't believe I remember like half of this, but back when like was it Foursquare? Back when Foursquare was popular still. I remember it was like, it had to have been close to last recess, because I remember playing Foursquare that day. But it had been close to last recess. I don't remember if it was at lunch. But basically, Juan was telling his friends that he was just planning on pantsing someone. And like, you know, it's just like, it's something that just goes in your one ear and comes out the other, and you don't expect it. And when you already feel like you're having like a semi good day, it's like it hits you hard whenever you find out that that person was you. That happens. I didn't react any differently than I thought I was gonna react. Obviously, when you're done with someone's bullshit, you want to just fight back and just hurt them as much as possible. But at the same time, you know you're better than that, and your better options to just leave, which I did basically a mixture of both. I didn't really hurt him, aside from kick him, threw his bag down when I was confronted by my own teacher, and also the teacher that I mentioned before, because he introduced my friend's cousin introduced me to him. Both of them were there. Actually, I think he came first, and then I ended up talking with my teacher. And teacher asked him, Juan, why did he do it? Juan said, I don't know. She asked me, she's like, and she gave me the typical question that I never thought I was going to hear from her, but she's like, and do you really think that was a good idea? Honestly, what else do you do? I consider this sexual harassment. If someone sexually harasses you, what do? Do you fight back? Do you just let it be and then let people walk over you the next day? So yeah, I think I did the right option. 5 minutes later, I'm talking with my friends, and he has his group of friends on the other side of the bleachers, And I'm like, you know what? I'm not waiting for my parents. Walk home. I walked here. I'm gonna walk back. Walk back. Turns out that they were so concerned about my mental state, seeing that I was so traumatized I wouldn't know where to go or whatever, which is bullshit. Because if they would actually be thinking about that, I'd be like, oh, well, I mean, you know, 'cause think about it. If it's off school grounds, obviously they're gonna be more concerned about me than about my well-being, because then I'm their responsibility. Well, I'm their responsibility when I come to school, and you don't do anything about me getting bullied or dealing with depression, anxiety, and like my mental health then. So why? I don't understand why you would care now. Or well, I do understand why you care now. It's for the wrong reasons, but hey. So as I'm walking home, eventually I see my grandpa pull up with my mom, my grandma. They just have to go to school immediately because everybody's concerned about me. They don't know where I am. Hopefully they find me. If they didn't find me, the police would get involved. I go there, end up talking with the principal. The principal's like, basically, the principal's saying, hey, I'm giving you another freaking suspension. You get an out-school suspension. But don't think of it as a suspension. Think of it, you're missing school because you can't handle yourself here. That's what I like to think, he said. And he gave you the typical bullshit with there's two paths you want to go down. You go down the right path, you go down the wrong path. Frankly, I went down the wrong path when I went through elementary school, and I'm going down the right path now, and yet I'm still I'm still dealing with the same problems I faced back then. So that's the way I look at things. Now, I had a great time off. If I remember correctly. Yeah, I remember correctly. My dad took me for his doctor's appointment in Ottawa, and I was looking, that year I was looking for Soul Calibur 4 for the PS3, and because like apparently there wasn't a lot of copies sold in Canada, so I was so happy to find it at the local GameStop there, and that was like that was the best enjoyment I had that year, period. So, I come back to school. There was one more incident with Juan. He ends again, like you just want it to be over. You just want the school year to be over. Even when you graduate, you just want it done. You want to be it done and over with. And that's what I just kept telling myself. I just wanted to be done and over with. So, my good friend, what are you gonna call him? What's that? I feel like John's not a good name, but I'll just call him John. My good friend John, Anthony, I don't remember who else there was. I think there were some people that just came by. And we just walk around last recess and just talk, because that's all we had better to do. I remember it was either lunch recess or last recess. I want to believe it was last recess. It was hot. It was definitely warm. But I thought it was like still cold, so I brought my sweater out, left it on the railing. And as I was talking with my friends, like there's like, hey, isn't Juan wearing your sweater? And I was like, he is. So I go over, yank it off of him. Principal looks at me, sends us both down the office. He knows it's my sweater. He's seen many times me wear that sweater, and yet some reason volunteer for a week with the kindergartens. Oh yeah, I think yeah, so once that was initiated, that was done and over with, school year finally ended. There's nothing else that happened, not that at least I can remember, and it was just horrible. And thankfully nothing bad happened in grade 9. Thankfully. Aside from my grades being ruined because I had like 8 different English teachers in one semester, which was just annoying. That was really the only bad though for grade 9. So like I said before, anything that happened in 2019 will be mentioned in the next video. So I'll just fill you in like what from grade 11 to grade 12. Grade 11, not much has my grades went up. I've gained, I guess I joined a friends group where there's a lot of people. They're funny, we have a great time. We had a good time back when COVID wasn't a thing. We'd hang out at lunch a lot, I'd buy them lunch, we'd go out for lunch, just talk about shit, and we just laugh our heads off and do stuff like that along those lines. They lived out of town though, so I couldn't like actually go see them. Grade 12 was a very was like the full, I guess it was the time I actually embraced change for like, and I feel like I've definitely matured where actually before grade 12 technically. So the summer of grade 11, so the summer of actually last year specifically. So I ended up, one thing that's obvious is that I clearly met a lot of friends on within my time playing on having my PlayStation, and one of those good friends, Damien, Yandel, everybody's been good to me. And Damien, when I've talked with Damien about personal stuff, he would a lot of the times we would vent to each other about things, and you know, like I got to be careful with what I'm allowed to say exactly, but this is going to be mentioned in the 3rd episode for sure, but basically Damien is a type of person where he may not look like he socializes with people or whatever, like you know, obviously he doesn't make a first impression really, but on the outside of things, like outside of school, this guy saved more lives than you can imagine. And it was actually I'm not gonna say who specifically, but there was someone on this channel that really introduced me to the idea of what empath is, and that's something that really struck a chord in like the way how I like viewed myself, and a lot of the ways that I kind of used that to think about how exactly I'm gonna start helping other people. And yeah, he one night he said to me that that we think the same way, and that you should use that power for good. And that's what I started doing. There's gonna be I'm probably gonna have to cover this in part 2 within the 2019 Sega, and I'm basically just gonna finish off the ending of what's happening now, and then we're gonna get into the what happened in 2019. Because again, there's a little too much stuff to compile in an hour-long video. Not to mention the counting the transition time and the outro. Okay, so I don't want to. So since we're getting to almost the end of the video, what's a quick summary I could say? I ended up downloading this app, getting a lot of followers and friends. I've helped a lot of people since then. I've used that power. I've saved people before. I've convinced people to try to change their lives around, not in, you know, the manipulative way, but the way that that can actually help them, like get help if they're addicted to something bad. And yeah, what we're gonna cover in part 2 will cover more than what I mentioned. I have no ending note exactly. Yep, that's it. Thank you for listening, and we'll continue on this journey Peace. Hey guys, thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something today. If not, you can encourage someone else, or if you already knew about how to deal with that type of situation, you can let someone else know. Definitely share this video because I think it's very important for everyone to see. And I'm not speaking just for myself. I'm thinking like from anybody's perspective. Like they should definitely watch this to understand. Honestly, it's just another way how to view the world, in my opinion. But that's just my point of view, and that's what I believe people should be doing. Yeah, that's it. There's nothing really else to say aside from toodles.